and I just had a haircut earlier yesterday. Not because Trump lost, I thought he's gonna win. Hi, good day. Welcome back to my channel, the Uncensored Asian Vlog. And today we're going to talk about the outcome of the elections yesterday. Well, not really the outcome because it's not over yet. So we've seen some figures coming from a lot of sources, coming from Democrats, the fake news, from the GOP, or from President Trump. Both parties or candidates declared to be the winner of the elections yesterday. And today in the Philippines, it's November 5th. Yesterday was a big day back in the United States, and a lot of people are still wondering what's going to happen come December because that's going to be the final election day. So what happened yesterday is just the voting process. It's the expression of democracy in the United States. The voters of all states cast their votes, okay, for both local and national politicians. But the decision, the big day for the president and vice president, is going to be in December. In December, or exactly, I think December 14th, because that's going to be the big day in which the electors of these states, the 50 states of the United States, are going to cast their votes on who they're going to pick as the president. So today it's a very entertaining and interesting day. I was hoping to be happier today because Trump is gonna be declared winner, but that's not actually the case. And I was predicting in my previous vlog that President Trump is gonna be re-elected. I discounted one thing. I was talking about all this evil of the Democrats, that they're gonna do anything in the books, okay? They're gonna do anything in the books in order to try to rig the elections. They have this motto, by all means necessary, or BAMN, okay, by all means necessary. This is an actual movement by the Democrats, or from and of and for the Democrats, over 4 years ago, and it's still continuing movement of that party, the aim of which is to oust, okay, to oust or topple President Trump by any means necessary, including assassination. Although I actually talk about the length or the scope of their evil, how evil and depraved they are, and that they're going to do anything in order to defeat the sitting president. I was like, I couldn't believe that they are so tactical in their imagination and how they tried to defeat the president, and they are so strategic. And that's one thing that I fear that leaders in the Philippines or politicians in the Philippines might imbibe or copy, because how they pulled it off, it's very, very strategic. Although I think that the Trump camp was able to somehow discern the tactics of the Democrats, but I couldn't believe that they were able to do it. And how they did it, it's unimaginable, actually, because I'm going to talk about that after this, because a lot of netizens in this country were like saying, okay, this reminds me of the Lenny versus Bongbong Marcos case back in 2016, in which everybody was asleep, and then after a couple of hours or the next day, everybody was shocked that Lenny was already leading the votes, or the number of votes. So there's a difference here, and we have this culture in the Philippines that if a politician lost the election, that politician is gonna claim, I was cheated, nadaya ako, nadaya ako. And I cannot blame these Filipinos for having that kind of mindset. So they're like Filipinizing some cases or happenings back in the US and other countries. That's the culture, the cheat culture in the Philippines. So we cannot actually compare that with what's happening in the US, especially that the elections in the US is totally different from elections in the Philippines. So, for example, let me just give you some kind of examples that the two are not exactly the same. So back in the Philippines, for the national posts like vice presidency or the presidency, including the senatorial positions, these are elected nationally via popular vote. So what happened in the case of Lenny versus Bongbong is that, let's just say, granting arguendo that Bongbong Marcos was cheated and that Lenny Robredo won via electoral cheating or rigging of the polls. All of these votes that went to Lenny came from any sources. Okay, it could have come from Manila and other places in the country, so it could have come from any sources in this country. Those votes that actually added to her tally that made her the vice president of this country. In the United States, totally different. So they're only talking about some votes in one particular state. I hope you're able to follow so far the electoral vote process in the United States, that the president needs to have 270 electoral votes. So a lot of states in the United States have already cast their votes. They were counted already, and the media, okay, called for the winners of all of those states. So California went to Biden. New York went to Biden. For example, Trump got Texas, Florida, and some other states. So they were like neck and neck. And then came like 9 p.m. Eastern Time, United States. Then there was a sudden pause, okay? Sudden freeze. And there's a collusion between the media, the tech tyrants, Twitter, Facebook, Google, and then the Democrats in the big state. They were colluding in order to cheat or defeat Donald Trump. Okay, they were like colluding with each other. They paused the calling of election victors of the remaining states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona. So, and for example, Fox News was not willing or was not determined to declare the winner for Arizona, despite the fact that Trump was leading that state for more than hundreds of thousands of votes. So there was a freeze. It was like Biden got like 230 plus electoral votes, and Trump got 213 votes, and they paused that for several hours. Okay, several hours, and then afterwards, there came the suspicious mail-in ballots into Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, what else? Michigan, and Arizona, and then later on, we learned that Biden was like leading. He's like leading. Okay, the votes or the tally after all these mail-in ballots came in, suspicious mail-in ballots. So it's like a magic trick done by all these forces in the United States, the forces of evil. So Fox News was unwilling to declare Trump as winner for Arizona, despite the fact that he's leading big. And for some other states, there were hundreds of thousands of ballots to be counted, but they were declaring, Biden as winner. But no, no, no. In Pennsylvania as well, and in Arizona, they refused to declare Trump as the winner because they had Plan B. Okay, we had to pause everything. You have to peg this, propaganda banner that Trump was like trailing, and he's got only 213 electoral votes, and Biden has 230 plus. So we're gonna stop right here, and then think what we can do to make sure that Trump is gonna lose the election. That's exactly what they did. I'm not actually making this up. So a lot of factors, a lot of evidence came up today and yesterday that prove that the Democrats were trying to rig the elections in a lot of ways, actually. So I'm going to show you later on, for example, this video from Project Veritas. So this is just to tell you that the elections in the United States is totally different from the elections here in this country. Although I really sympathize with the notion of some kind of remarks coming from Filipinos that, hey, if natalo ka, then nadaya ka. But that's actually the case. So I'm supposed to be like crying, but no, I'm actually excited. It's kind of excitement. It's a combination of everything. I was kind of sad a bit, but then I realized, oh, well, let's see what's gonna happen, because according to Tim Pool, Tim Pool is an Asian American, okay, who's a liberal. He's an admitted self-confessed liberal who voted for Obama in 2008 and 2012. He's dyed in the wool liberal, but he's not like a regular liberal who's brain dead. But of course, he's Asian, so what can you expect? So it's like saying this. This is his Twitter account, by the way. So it's like saying my current thoughts. Okay, media calls it for Biden. Trump files lawsuits and wins. Next 4 years, Trump stalled election. So, and also I like this comment of his here. The leftists are all salty. Okay, salty that they don't get videos of crying conservatives plus Trump supporters, but not because not all Trump supporters are conservatives, right? The way everyone else constantly mocks them for crying all the time back in 2016. So if you're gonna juxtapose the photos and videos of crying Hillary supporters in 2016 and today it's kind of combination of being mad and being amused, and I find it funny actually. I'm a Trump supporter. I like him, not in a dogmatic way. I support him because of his ideas, because of his policies. That I don't really care if they help the United States, but definitely that's the goal of his policy to have an America first policy, because you're elected because you're the president of your country, right? So, and but also because, and most importantly, because of his foreign policies. Okay, a lot of policies, especially the peace deals in the Middle East. This what else? The Sudan, Israel peace deal, Serbia and Kosovo normalization, deal, and the peace in Asia. So there's a momentous peace in Asia because of Trump's presidency, and he's not an interventionist American president, right? He doesn't care, about the other. It's not that he doesn't care actually. It's just that, as he said many times already in the past, I'm not the president of the world. I'm the president of the United States, and I don't believe that America is a global cop or global police. Okay, we're not here to police the world, because if we're gonna do that, we're gonna spend a lot of money, and he knows it because he's a businessman, right? He's just speaking reality. He's not reality here. He's not a trap politician, or we call it trapo in the Philippines, or traditional politician. He's a commonsensical president, and I don't understand why Americans, especially the Democrats, don't see that. It's probably because they're so obsessed with abortion. I'm actually in favor of abortion. Okay, just to let you know, I'm an atheist. I'm in favor of abortion, for not really for valid cases, because I do believe that women have the right to whatever they want to do with their own body. But my difference of opinion with liberals or Democrats is that I don't think the state is gonna pay for your abortion. Okay, and for American LGBT as well, American gay, bisexual, etc. They were saying that, hey, Trump is like depriving LGBT people of their rights. When I asked someone, what kind of rights are you talking about? What kind of rights are you talking about? Trump called on, all Muslim countries to decriminalize homosexuality, because most Muslim countries, if not all of them, would like to criminalize, or they have laws criminalizing homosexuality or for being gay, and Trump admonished them to stop criminalizing homosexuality. And what this gay white liberal told me is that Trump deprived LGBT people of the right to have this health care, right in Obamacare, to have a reassignment surgery. Then I was saying, what the fuck are you talking about? You should be able to pay for your reassignment surgery, I think. Although I don't believe in, total welfare, okay, non-statism, that the state is going to pay for everything you need, like healthcare. In my case, in the Philippines, if not most, but I hope everybody, but private sector workers are being supported by their employers. So in my case, I have this healthcare plan, which is, I think it's good that it's the company is gonna pay for each illness, okay, each illness. So, and I don't think cosmetic should be covered by the healthcare that your employee is paying for you, right? So they were like American LGBT white people, American gays, white gays and liberals were like saying, okay, we were deprived because we don't have the right to free reassignment surgery. I think that's stupid. And you don't have the right to that, actually. If you want it, what I mean by right is that, okay, go for it, pay for it, okay? But the mere fact that the government is not willing to pay for your reassignment surgery does not mean that you are deprived of your right as an LGBT member, because not all gays would like to change their private parts from penis to vagina, right? But too much of that talks, so let's move on. So as I was saying earlier, the American Democrats, the liberal Democrats, are gonna do anything in the books in order to cheat and defeat Donald Trump, and they've done that so far with the collusion of the fake news media, the big tech, especially Twitter, which was flagging, conservatives for speaking the truth or exposing what's going on. So let me just show you an example of election rigging or cheating that's being done. Because, okay, for Filipinos who don't know as well, would you like to have a universal mail-in ballots? We know, okay, how elections go in the Philippines. We know killings, a lot of killings. Well, that's the extreme here in the Philippines. So, election killings, etc. So, before the election take place, expect that some people are gonna die. Okay, one of the worst cases in the Philippines is the Maguindanao case years ago during the time of or term of Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, when a Muslim politician killed, I think, more than 60 people, in the wife of the gubernatorial candidate and media people. Most of them were media people. And that's the extreme case in the Philippines. But back in the United States, they're not that extreme, but they're more tactical. In our case, we're like brutal, okay, animalistic in so many ways. But in the United States, they were like psychopathic, okay, those strategic psychopaths, okay. They are not gonna kill you, but they're gonna destroy your life. Okay, they're gonna make sure that your life is gonna get destroyed. By the way, this is my Trump hat, and I just had a haircut earlier yesterday. Not because Trump lost. I thought he's gonna win. All right, so okay, let's continue. But in the United States, the politicians, especially the Democrats, were more strategic and tactical in the way they handle elections, especially when they try to cheat elections. So, unlike in the Philippines, like I said, in which the president and vice president are selected via the popular vote, in the United States, all of those states were already able to decide who they're gonna want as their president. But then we have these remaining states, like I said, and then there's a neck and neck fight between Trump and Biden, and then they stop the counting and the declaring or calling of election winners for Nevada, for example, for Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and that's when they introduce the Plan B. Okay, they introduce Plan B, and one of the fake news that I really really hate is Fox News. Okay, Fox News called for Biden too early, and now I think they're gonna regret that because, according to Nate Silver is one of the quack doctors when it comes to polling. Nate Silver says Fox News and AP projections for Biden in Arizona should be retracted now. They decided too early for Biden. Like I told you, If it's Biden, they're going to decide it too early. But if it's for Trump, despite the fact that Trump was leading by 100 to 300,000 votes in Pennsylvania, they're still not going to declare it because, you know, all of these states now are Democrat strongholds. These states are controlled by Democrats. Like I said, these are independent states, unlike in the Philippines, in which the provinces are not independent of each other and that they're not independent of the national government. In the United States, it's a different game, totally different game. So, for example, let's talk about Pennsylvania. Okay, each state, like I said in my previous vlog, has its own laws. Okay, its own electoral process, its own taxation, etc. Okay, so there's a difference between the state government and the federal government. So in the case of Pennsylvania, for example, they were trying, after the pause that I was talking about, after 9 p.m., I think 9 p.m. Eastern time, then they introduces their plan B. We're not gonna declare winner with the collusion of the media, Fox News, and everything. And then they had all these mysterious mail-in ballots. As I asked earlier, would you like that we're gonna have universal mail-in ballots in the Philippines? No, it's gonna destroy this country even more. So they introduced mail-in ballots because of COVID. Okay, because the Democrats knew that that's gonna be their final weapon against Trump. Okay, in order to defeat Trump, the universal mail-in ballots, because who knows who signed the mail-in ballots, right? uh, they're even allowing illegals. Okay, like I said earlier in my previous vlog as well, that they're gonna do anything, and that's what I did not include in my previous vlog. I was like confident that the Democrats are not actually that too evil, but I ignore that. I miss the fact that the Democrats are too evil to do anything, okay, in order, including destroying their own country. And as a lot of people are saying today, America is like a third world country now. But I'm gonna digress because it's not actually America, but all these Democrat states, okay, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona, all these Democrat states are worse than third world countries in Asia and Africa, because they're unable to finish counting. These are just states, okay, states within America. But Florida, which has millions of voters, was able to finish counting within the day. Okay, so that's a deal. We don't need to have a universal mail-in voting in the Philippines, because I don't think Filipinos have this Democrat mentality of cheating culture or cheat culture. So, for example, as I was saying, there's a case of Pennsylvania in which Trump was able to successfully got the attention of the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court now ordered Pennsylvania Democrats, because Pennsylvania is ruled and governed by Democrats. The governor, they have their electoral authorities that could help rig the election in favor of Biden, etc. So the Supreme Court ordered Pennsylvania Democrats to respond by Thursday evening in a case challenging the state's 3-day extension for counting mail-in ballots. So they changed the rules. They always change the rules. But what is exactly the original rule that they change? Okay? So according to this news, and this is a factual, statement, the lawsuit takes issue with a state Supreme Court ruling that postmarked ballots be presumed to have been mailed before November 3. Okay, so you cannot have any additional ballots after November 3rd, right? That's the law of the land. That's the law that that state implemented, and you should be able to follow it. You cannot change the rules at the 11th hour, because if you're gonna do that, then you're simply cheating. Why would you introduce more ballots after the election day mandated by law if you're not gonna cheat or change the outcome of the election in your favor. So that's one of the cases. So I'm gonna tell again the Filipino bashers that no, this is not like the Lenny Bongbong Marcos case. It's totally different. Same thing happened in Wisconsin and Michigan and what else? Arizona. In Arizona, Trump was leading, and then suddenly he's like losing by tens of thousand. I think more than 10,000 votes or more than that. So it's really hilarious how American Democrats were able to destroy the image of America to the world. And what I'm really afraid of is that all of this cheating culture and tactics by the Democrats can be copied by corrupt politicians all over the world, especially Filipino politicians. Please do not introduce mail-in ballots in this country. So what's gonna happen next? Okay, what's gonna happen next is that they're gonna fight this out in the court up until they get to the Supreme Court. All right, because it's going to be a fight between lawyers. No, it's about preserving the integrity of the election, because the election is about the will of the people. So Biden was saying, let's count all votes. Okay, it may sound fair to anyone who's half-wit, okay, or probably a bit smart, but what does it mean? Count all votes. Yes, we're gonna count all votes, but we're gonna count only the valid, legit votes. All those mail-in ballots that they were trying to add after November 3rd against the rules should not be counted, because that's against the law, and that's what the lawyers are gonna fight it out before the court of law. And Pam Bondi, I think Trump just assembled a phalanx or a group of lawyers, including Giuliani and Pam Bondi, to fight it out, to fight for the integrity of the elections. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. So it's not that, okay, it's going to be a fight between lawyers. No, you're wrong. Okay, so what it means is that we're simply going to count all the valid votes, because that's what elections, fair, honest, and integrity-based election is all about. So why should you count votes coming from illegals? In the Philippines, we don't have that. Even Filipinos understand that. Before we cast our ballots, we have a registration process. I think it usually happens every September, October, at least a few months before the actual election date. We're gonna cast our ballots. We even have our own, elector or voter ID in the Philippines. Why can't they have that in the US? The reason why is they're using this alibi of racism, etc. But they're simply thinking that minorities or Asians or blacks are too stupid to obtain a voter ID or an ID, because if you go to any bank, you need to present at least two valid IDs, right? What more if you're gonna vote? Because that's gonna be for the integrity of the election and for the sake of your country. They should only be counting legal votes cast by legal voters, those who were able to register, and those votes that did not come after the election date, according to the rules of each state, right? So that's what's going to happen. So Trump has still a big chance of winning the elections, because most of the votes were actually the ballots. I'm speaking of the ballots were introduced or added after the election, but they were like Democrats were so emboldened to really cheat, because their goal is to really defeat Trump, but they're not looking good to the world. Okay, they're not looking good to the world, and most of these Democrat states were acting like third world countries, really. And I don't think that's going to be a healthy politics for America in the future, because there's going to be distrust among states in the future. right? So it's like there's like a territorial mindset, it's whenever they have election. Okay, so for Democrats, we what we're gonna do is make sure that we our guy is gonna win. We're gonna do anything in our state. We're gonna cheat in our state. So the states of Michigan, for example, are gonna do anything in order for their guy to win, while the the red states or GOP states, they're gonna they're not gonna do anything to cheat. Okay, it's fair and square for both candidates of the Democrats and Republicans, and that is unfair to whoever the honest guy is, right? You cannot have that kind of electoral process, because if you do, you're going to have a civil war, and this might ignite a civil war if it's not addressed properly. So this is again Uncensoration Vlog, and thank you for watching, and have a good day.